Heyo, can everybody hear me okay? I should find some Jeopardy style music to load in with. I I I totally should. There we go. Doo-dee-doo, doo-dee-doo. Hey, live person. That's what I've been told anyway. How is everybody today? Everybody doing okay? I know this is kind of a weird time, but just kind of how it worked out. Just this light. I know I'm pale, but that was kind of ghost like. Okay, so we're gonna make Nuka Cola. Let me get my apron. If you are not familiar with Nuka Cola, and I think everybody here is, it's from Fallout. Uh, very popular game. And I made this the first time, I guess it was 2023. Fix that so it's a little better. There we go. And it turned out all right. And then I tried it again last year and it did not turn out all right. So we're going to try it again. I have learned from my mistakes, right? So my cookbook, uh, quite a nice cookbook, very themed. The If you Google this though, one thing that you will find is a common complaint about the very same recipe we are about to make. And that complaint is the book is not complete. One of the ingredients that you need for making cola is a brown sauce. They call it brown sauce, but it's kind of more like a brown syrup. It's brown sugar water, really. 50%, yeah, there's always a chance for mayhem. Um, the book doesn't tell you how to make that. And so an inexperienced person with colas might make the mistake of getting brown sauce, which you can find over the counter or in the counter in any store that big grocery store. But what that is probably browning sauce for meat and has an umami flavor. What you need for this is brown sugar water. So the recipe that I used, and I pre-made it, is 1 cup of packed brown sugar, half a cup of boiling water. And basically all you do is you put the sugar in a pan and you heat it until it's melted. It does have a smell. It smells like burning sugar. And you heat it until it's melted. Then you're going to add that half cup of boiling water. It needs to be really, really hot. And then you stir it until hopefully all of it's dissolved. I think my problem with my last run is I didn't get the water hot enough. And so it's a little clumpy, but I think I have enough of the brown water sauce stuff to make my sauce. Basically, it's just going to be the brown sugar colorant stuff. If you've ever worked in fast food in the States, and you had all the big boxes of cola, we're making the concentrate. Well, hello there. So for our recipe, I'm going to do this one right here. We need 2 cups water, 3 cups of sugar. By the way, this is not good for you if you're watching your carbs. Zest and juice of half an orange, zest and juice of half a lime, zest and juice of half a lemon, 1 stick cinnamon, 3 cardamom pods, 1/2 teaspoon of coriander seed, 2 star anise, the 1/4 cup of the browning sauce, not the stuff that you use to make meat with, unless you like your meat really, really sweet, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It is very sweet, but remember, we're making essentially the syrup concentrate. Once the syrup has had time to sit in the fridge and cool, and kind of all the flavors to blend together, that part takes some hours. We won't be here for that. You'll mix the syrup, 1 cup of carbonated water, your ice, and 5 to 7 tablespoons of the syrup. Be mindful of what water you use. You want to make sure it doesn't have anything like a tonic. You don't want to have anything like that has the quinine in it or has any flavor in it. And ideally, you want to get something really strongly carbonated because when you put the syrup in it, it's going to knock the bubbles out and it'll go flat really fast. This tastes like kind of like a fruity root beer. And We haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I want it with vanilla ice cream because I bet it's pretty kick ass. Got it. Ad. So I'm going to wait for a moment while the ads run so nobody misses anything. And then we're going to get started with our Nuka Cola. How is everybody doing this evening? Are we doing okay? I have also we also did the Quantum Cola. It tastes like off-brand Sprite that's kind of flat. I guess maybe that was, a skill issue. It tastes like off-brand Sprite with like bluegill coloring in it. It's not, if you're wanting to do a themed party, I would save the effort of the Quantum and not make that one. I would just use off-brand Sprite and add the food coloring because it was a lot of work for what it was, because it's got water, sugar, zest and juice of a lemon, zest and juice of a lime, 2 tablespoons of fruit punch, 2 tablespoons of pomegranate juice, 1 teaspoon citric acid, and 5 drops of neon flame dye. It was not that great. I was not really impressed. So let's get started on our Nuka Cola. The first thing we need to do is the citrus stuff, because that's gonna be the work. So the zest and juice of half an orange. Got our old zester here. Orange should be fairly easy with the thing, but because I want to make sure I have enough juice, I also bought some concentrate. So you could do this, but I want to try with the zester to do the thing. I've not zested a fruit in a long time. Multiverse streaming. So, and basically you're just kind of scraping the peel to get the bits. I don't know how well you can see that. The camera's not great right there, but it's just, you're just getting the juicy bits off, the skin off, and it's got all the oil in it that's got the stronger scent in it and the stronger smell. I'm not going to go nuts with, being overly detailed or overly fussed with trying to get this 100% zested or whatever, because I don't want to. I don't want to, and I think that's good enough reason to do it. And it's not overly complicated. It's just a little laborsome. But I know the people who know how to do this at home are going, "You're doing it wrong." Sorry. You're just gonna have to deal with my unskilled labor here. There we go. We got our zest in that bowl. And the reason I'm going to keep the juice separate is because we put them into the recipe at different times. And it feels weird in here without my light on. I almost always have that light on. And to get our juice out, we're going to soften it up a little bit. I've heard some people say they use a microwave. There is technically a microwave in this flat. So, well, yeah, I mean, I'd like to say I know my limits, but there is technically a microwave in this flat. But there was a power thing where it's on the weird breaker system in here, and every time I would touch the front of it, as you can see, there's metal. I would touch the front of it, and I could feel the current. Thankfully, it was just a low current leak, because 220, well, you're gonna feel it. And I had a electrician out who plugged the thing in another thing, and it was numbers, and then he was like, "It's a problem," and so it's off. Another electrician's like, "It's fine." I'm like, just leave it off. I've never used it anyway. Yeah, didn't use it anyway, so it's not a big deal. And removing it is such a pain in the ass. Oh my Lord. Because there's screws, because it's built in. So there's screws on the plate thing. And then to get it out, the counters are so deep because there's a gap about yay big in the back where all the cables go for all the power, which plugs in like somewhere over there. And I'm short. The guy who came to look at it was a typical size guy, so he's about 6'8" inches taller than me, but he couldn't reach in there. So I'm like having to climb in. I got Help me, stepbrother, I'm stuck moment. It was not good. Okay. Don't want that knife. Let's grab the right knife, Meg. Oh yeah, that's good and juicy. And now the reamer. Oh yeah. You can use whatever kind of juicer you want. I guess if you have one of those fancy ones that you put the whole thing in and get all the juice out, that's fine too. Pretty low tech around here. Whoop. Pretty low tech. I hope y'all can't hear this noise. It sounds like a thing. Okay. Alrighty, that is half of that. And then we need the juice of a whole orange. I'm gonna ream out this other side. Wow. Reamy. Just make sure it's good and juicy. This is actually a really juicy orange. I got very lucky. When we we lived in California briefly, and it was one of the nice things is just the availability of fruit, fresh fruit. We rented a little house that had a lemon tree in the front, and it just smelled so pretty. And I remember going to a friend of a friend's house. They had some orange trees, and we were sitting under the orange trees, and it was just dripping, orange nectar. The secret ingredient is always love, don't you know? But just the orange nectar and the bees, it was so nice. Okay, so the juice of one whole orange. I'm gonna wash my hands because it's kind of sticky and slippery, and I'm really operating the knife. I need to make sure I have a good grip. You know how that is. You'll just have to watch the VOD later, I guess. You'll just have to watch later. And switching back to the zester. I always have a soft spot for lime. Lime and carbonated water. I know, funny enough, a lot of Americans don't like the German style carbonated water. I love this stuff. It's because I'm German. Proof. One nice thing that was there is because there's an expectation, and they do it here. They call them, what do they call them? Squash. They call it a squash whenever you mix like a juice concentrate with the water. You call it a squash. And in Germany, they're pretty common too. They'll mix juice with water, or in the summertime, a nice white wine with water. And then you can do like the frozen grapes that you've soaked in wine. So it's nice something in the summertime. But I like lime or lemon in my carbonated water. I'll drink carbonated water straight. It smells citrusy in here. Now this one only needs the juice of half the lime. And if you are unsure, I wrote down the typical for one orange. The typical amount of juice to get out is 4 tablespoons. Pretty sure I got that. Typical amount for half a lime is 1 tablespoon. So if you got a small lime or it just didn't get a lot of juice, I do have backup. And the typical half lemon is about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. 7-Up with lime is very, very yummy. Especially when it's like really crisp and cold. This one's got a little bit more rind. But I wasn't sure how much juice I was going to be able to get out of these, and versus how much effort I was willing to put in. Between, because I'm only supposed to do the juice of a half of a lemon and half of a lime, and I should have enough. The idea is at the end of the juicing process, we have about a third cup juice. And so your cola is going to have a nice citrusy uh, flavor to it. But it's with all the other stuff. Typically, I don't like stuff like I'm not a fan of any of these ingredients: the coriander, the star anise, or the cardamom pods. Because those are like fennel and licoricey tastes. I don't like them, but here it just works. That one's coming out really good too. This is a really good tool. I'm finding I like it a lot better than the ones that you have to hand twist on top. But yeah, 7-Up with lime or 7-Up with lemon is really nice, especially if they're good and chilled. Okay. Yeah. So I will save my lemon and lime for my carbonated water for later, because the water where I grew up was not good. It was really kind of bad. It's really, really bad. And I couldn't drink it growing up. I just couldn't. You couldn't. You'd have. It's you've seen those ads for water filters where people are talking about having to sneak up on the water. That's the water where I grew up. It was just the EPA insisted it was safe to drink, and I'm like, well, y'all are welcome to come over here and have some, because safe and tolerable are not the same thing. To get older, find simpler things better taste. Water with lemon, yeah, and I I don't drink it. I went through a long time not being able to drink enough. I think growing up with my dad on the truck so much, and he wasn't stopping for nobody. And then working as a teacher, my last job, I was working as a teacher. There was one teacher's bathroom, and my classroom was literally the furthest physical possible distance from there to there. And so there's I remember opening the door one time. Okay, the kids are gone. I've got a planned period. I can run and open the door, and the supply coordinator's there with a clipboard. I'm like, oh no, I can't go cover a class. I have to go. So I'm now catching up with all my. Oh, I'm gonna ream it for. But yeah, citrus. Citrus is good for you. I think we're gonna have plenty of this to go around. It smells really good in here. Put that in the right bowl here, because these are going to go in at different times. Oh yeah, this one's you can see the bits. Whoop. You can see that on my kid's laptop. So much reaming, yes. I was talking to someone the other day about Conan, and they were talking about building problems in Conan. And one of the problems that they have on public servers is people building wherever they want. They're blocking the roads, they're blocking points of interest. They're just, they're. I remember being on one, and I guess they insisted they didn't want a purge. This was back when before they changed the purge, before it was random, and um, the I mentioned to somebody that people who build blocking the road especially in PVE areas, it's just selfish. And I'm like, I hope they get 1,000 paper cuts on the day they have to hand squeeze lemonade for like New York and Tokyo. Yeah, and it's just blocking the road. But there was one that they wanted they said that they didn't want to purge, so they built like sandstone foundations like everywhere. I mean, it's just they claimed like kind of like the middle of the map, and I'm like, why are you doing that? It's It's claim spawning camping shit, and it's not good. Okay. They believe that the server is for them, and I'm like, seriously, there's probably three of you, and you're blocking everything. I remember being on one, and someone had built on the hand, the hand that hangs. There's a ghost up there. If you're going for the completion thing, and you couldn't get to the note because they had built a house on the hand, and I'm like, must you? Did you have to do that? Did you really have to build it there? Surely there's other spots that you could have built that you. I don't know if people like building. My issue is with the performance. Yes, I'm in a Discord for that's got a lot of admin for Conan RP servers, and it's a constant discussion about, especially for RP, people like nice decorated houses with all the stuff, and how to keep the latency and lag down. The biggest things are, your particle lights, and really anything that makes the system do math whenever you get in the area when it has to start counting all that shit is going to cause lag. So, boxes full of 9 million fiber or sticks, or, do you really need, all of that leather? I know you got to make, in Conan, you got to make a ton of steel fire, and you need the tar. But seriously, the balance of to get the all that tar, you're just chucking out. I mean, I keep like a box of leather, and the rest of it I'm just throwing out the back because it's too much. And when you start getting more and more stuff, the dyes and lights, and storage boxes full of bajillion pieces of armor, and the food and the weapons, and then the furniture and all that stuff, the more pieces you have, the more a typical system will chug. Some servers have build limits where a single player is only allowed X many build pieces, which is kind of, I get why they're doing it, but it's really tough. Some of them, there's still the controversy between pillars and ceilings versus foundations. They fixed that years ago, so that's personal preference of which one you like. But people are funny. Okay, I think that is all of the prep I need to do. Where did I set that lime? I've lost my mind. Anywho, I'm going to set this aside. I hope I didn't throw that lime away. All right. So we have, that's about a third cup juice. I'm not going to show you because it's a tip. We have a nice little rainbow bit of zest. I heard we're preparing for nuclear war. We are. We're doing the Nuka Cola. We're making it. We are making it. So combine the water. I need 2 cups water. We're in freedom units. For the rest of the world, 2 cups water is about 450 milliliters. And I might have picked the wrong pot. This could be, I'm going to get one that's slightly bigger. Sorry for the noise. I'm going to get one a little bit bigger. Oh, but I've got to figure out how to set up my my bots, because either they let guys like this through, or they won't let you type more than 5 words in a row. I can't win. So 2 cups water, 3 cups sugar. Has a lot of sugar. I had my measuring cups. Where's my measuring cups? 3 cups sugar. I only try to be neater with that, but it is what it is. So this is concentrate, so it's gonna feel like a ton of sugar. It is a ton of sugar. Like I'm back home making my dad's tea, and like sweet tea. So much sugar in it, and he liked instant sweet tea. But there'd be like a crust in the bottom of the jug after the only, super saturated sweet tea. And I think that bot is fixed. So I think that you shouldn't be getting muted for that. I saw where people had come to the stream where I was covering the last dev stream, and people were coming saying that they got muted, and it was the same bot that I had that was muting everybody. So I think it's fixed because the podcast went well. We didn't have any bot issues, but I had Brad on the job, and he was, oh, for Pete's sake, he's pretty good at the whole modding thing. Oof, that's a lot of tea. That's a lot of sugar. That's flavored sugar water at that point. I am not a fan of black tea, and maybe it's because I grew up with crappy water or that the smell of that tea. And my first husband was really into Earl Grey, but yeah. Okay, 3 cups of sugar. The orange zest, lime zest, and lemon zest all goes in at this time. Bloop. One cinnamon stick. If you don't have a cinnamon stick, it is half a teaspoon. Earl Grey smells all right, but I don't like the flavor. I don't like the flavor. 1 stick of cinnamon. Yeah, that Discord can get really busy. So a stick of cinnamon, the cardamom pods. I need 3 cardamom pods. Oh, 1, 2, 3. I need the coriander seeds, which is half a teaspoon of coriander seeds. A teaspoon. And the star anise, we need 2 of these. You can substitute fennel. Star anise. I'm trying to remember the last time we had snow here. It's been a couple of years, and we get like this much. And because of where we are, it doesn't snow often, and you'd think people just lose their ever-loving minds when it snows here. In a large saucepan, place over heat, whisk until the sugar has dissolved, and then bring to a boil. That's a lot of whisking because that's a lot of sugar. Hold on. Here we go. Whisk. And I know I'm a little weird. I always use the back burner just for safety's sake. Aha, there's my citrus. You have worked around kids and whatever, you just have to be careful. But this I feel like I'm 9 trying to cook on the stove. It's so high. UK against this. Where we are, it's. I mean, if you go up north like Brad's in Scotland, you know, they're like snow. But here, because we're right at the very southern edge, it we're Charles Dickensville, because you know I've been to Rochester where Dickens was. It's like, you know, a 30-minute drive. It's not far. So just the cold and the damp and the fog. That's all we get here. It might get occasionally enough to frost overnight, but it ends pretty quickly. So I'm kind of wondering, once this is done, I have to uh, uh, yep. That's kind of funny because on my side it's red. It's interesting that it's turning up purple on the screen. Um, I have to pour it through a sieve. I've got to find sieve here into the container. But I'm looking at this container that I have my fridge is small, and that's not going to work. So I think what I'll do is I'll pour it back into the measuring cup and then use the measuring cup to pour it into the thing, so we can work smarter, not harder, right? Spice stove. Hold on, I'm having viewing issues. What's going on here? Okay. I think my internet's just trying to go. Maybe, I don't know. But yes, Nuka Cola. I'm hoping, if there's interest in this, it's been kind of niche, which I get. Trying more nerdy stuff. I have this whole cookbook with stuff. Now, some of the stuff like cakes and things take like all day. Like there's a cheesecake that literally takes like all day because of the way you have to cook it. Um, and of course, cakes have to cool before you can decorate them. But there's other stuff we could try. I have a stable connections are good. I have a couple of Tolkien cookbooks. I have the Necronomicon. I have a D&D cookbook, and then the Dungeon Meister cookbook. So I think if there's interest, I'd like to do more nerdy cooking. The next few streams, around the time Dune drops, will be, we're going to do the Dune cookies. I got a mouse cookie cutter. I haven't decorated cookies in like 20 years. So that will be interesting to do. So I was going to try and do some more deep cookies. And if I had rolled out one cookie last time and just kind of play with it, and it turned out really nice and round and flat. I got some purple spice, the purple sugar crunchy stuff that goes on top for those. And many thanks to the viewers like you who made that possible. So I do appreciate that, because I asked for some assist to get the ingredients. These are things I don't normally, have laying around the house often, but having a little help to get the equipment and things certainly helps. More deep cookies. Yeah, I should try and send one to Mojo if I can. PBS flashbacks. Thanks to the generous contributions from viewers like you and the National Science Foundation. That's the kind of shows I used to watch. Okay, this is almost done, I think. It's looking a bit like soup. Stuff floating around in it. Okay, so now that that's all dissolved, it says bring to a boil. Guess I need to let it stop for a second so it'll boil. But yeah, next, close to the game dropping, we're going to do the Moadib cookies, the Dune cookies. I'd like to try some other cooking. I have never cooked anything Middle Eastern though, so that could be a whole travesty for people. So there's an ad. Let me know when it's back, so I don't talk over people. Yes, that was my shameless plug. Hey, we got some people watching, but yeah, nerd food. No ad can stop you, for which I'm grateful. Nothing can stop you, Paulo. Um, but we have recipes from the World of Token, which has things like pork pies, uh, pickled peaches, sweet pickled cucumbers, and that sort of thing. Fortunately, there's no pictures in that one, so we really can't speculate. The other, wait for that. We have an unofficial cookbook of Hobbit cookery. Ads go away. Waiting on the ads. Yay! So we have like the breakfasts. We have like mushroom and bacon hash. That sounds really good. Stewed apples and prunes, porridge, mushroom omelet. So all of that looks. Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you. Then for like 11sies, we have honey cakes. So all of these could be fun. I've not made any of these before. Wait for that to boil. The Necronomicon. Nom nom nom. And some of these could be very interesting because they're all written as if you're trying to decipher some Lovecraft. So the deep fried deep one is 1 large egg of fowl of the wood, 1 tablespoon of the best offering found in the maze of Nao, 1 teaspoon seasoning from the Old Bay of Elders, 1/2 teaspoon of salt of the sea, 1 teaspoon finely chopped herb of mysterious purpose, 1 lump crab meat richly cleansed and purified, 1/2 pound fresh pink fleshed fish of the river and sea, 1/2 teaspoon unseasoned crumb of bread or more if needed, 3 tablespoons unsalted butter to ease the transition, and wedges of the citrus yellow are always welcome. So you'd have to kind of thank you. I may cry, guys. Thank you. These could be interesting to try and decipher. They do have some in the back that are a little bit more legible, but that could be fun. And then the Dungeon Meister cookbook. I've made the chicken out of this one that's really good. It was supposed to be a hot wings recipe that we did. My kid was like, pictures. This one, the Hellfire hot wings. And we made it, but we didn't use the habanero because it has habanero in it, which is a little too spicy. But basically, you're making an oven fried chicken, and then you're making a spicy sweet glaze to put over it, and it made it sticky, and it was so good. We'll be here. So I would love to try more of these. Come on, I've got this thing cranked up. It needs to boil. But there's lots of stuff in here, Kraken and just different things to try that could be fun. I would love to. It could be fun. Hello, all. And then the last nerdy cookbook that I have currently is The Hero's Feast. What words was I supposed to say? Num, 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 it's close enough, right? I haven't seen that movie in ages. I don't remember the magic words to close the Necronomicon anymore. But like, look at that steak. I mean, this camera is not doing the steak any justice at all. That is a dwarven steak. Um, I don't know the magic words. Venison pot roast. Some of these would be really expensive and require a lot of planning ahead, but some of them might be a little more manageable. Hand pies. Yeah, you don't remember the words either. Braised beef, trout, bouillabaisse, traveler's stew. That looks really nice. Yeah, the part that he forgot, I don't remember it either. So we have lots of nerdy options. This one's got some fun stuff, and I'm watching this. I'm waiting for it to boil. I have it turned up, I promise. The appetizers, deviled eggs, milder croquettes. The D&D recipes do sound good. How about some mole rat dip for the prepared? Hermit crab stuffed mushrooms, which that sounds really nice too. There's so many fun looking, great looking. We got Deathclaw egg rolls, mystery meat wrapped Neuralurk, crab cakes, red gold power noodles, chicken noodle soup, potato soup, Brahmin and vegetable roast soup. I bet that's quite nice. Carol's mystery meat stew, Vault-Tex mystery chili. Looks like it's trying to escape the bowl. This needs to hurry up and boil. Jesus. Soda bread's always nice. Sugar carrots, Brahmin potatoes, cornbread muffins, salmon, poached cods, chicken marsala. But these things some of these take a long time. Klaatu Barada Nikto. And then, the book, Pa. Hey there. I have this thing cranked up. This water should be boiling. I think it's because I have so much sugar in it that it's just like, nah. Just nah. Okay. Now let's just simmer for a few minutes. I'm seeing some bubbles. So let me set the timer. I would love to do more cooking streams. Also, my son has made 2 requests. There's one, it's a beefy noodle recipe that's kind of it's supposed to be like a knockoff. Now it's boiling. There it goes. Turn down, simmer. Kind of a knockoff of like a beef hamburger helper type thing. Hello. And now it boils. That is super easy. It's super cheap. And he absolutely loves it. So I will be making that on stream at some point. And then the other thing that he really likes that I haven't made in ages is there's a Tuscan chicken recipe that we both really like. So this is super budget. It's like here we call it beef mince. In the States, it'd be like ground beef. But one thing different here about the ground beef is like in the States, you get like a brick and it's kind of like all clumped together. Here you can get it that way, but you can also get it, it's almost like a better term, like kibbled. It's just loose little bits. And for this purposes, it's really great. You wouldn't use it to make a burger or anything because it wouldn't hold together. Tuscan chicken, yeah. But for this purpose, it's some beef mince, it's some beef broth, it's cornstarch, salt, pepper, it's egg noodles, and milk and sour cream. I mean, it's really very straightforward and very. My kid loves it. If I want any of it, it's like I have to like get into it because if I don't, he'll eat the whole pot by himself. I've never been to Tuscany. I hear it's very pretty there, but I think Tuscany, I think like this buttery yellow color, the provincial kitchen that you always see. Everything is kind of that hazy color. Mm. Um, Bolognese to me always has tomato in it. There's no tomato in this. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. What do you mean, shameless plug? I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. Mm. I don't know. Why would I do such a thing? A little science lesson. So, when you have a container of cold water and you stir sugar into it, you can keep adding sugar to a point until the sugar stops dissolving. And what you have then is saturation, right? There's not enough space in the molecules of the water to hold any more sugar molecules. There's no more room. It's saturated. To make it hold more sugar, heat it up. And as the molecules of water become excited and boil and start to think about breaking apart into steam, there's a little more room. You stir your sugar while it's that hot, and it will allow you to put more sugar in your sugar water. And that's what high fructose corn syrup is. It is extra sugary sugar. So they've taken the corn syrup, they've heated it up to the point where the molecules are just starting to kind of get a little energized to make more room, and then they stir in more sugar, and that's why it's extra sweet. There's your science lesson for the day. That's how you make extra sugary sugar water. Well, hello everybody. They cooking in Dune. I'm wanting to say it was Hefe. I could be wrong. That had pointed out there were other, because they've got the heat and the sun and the water as part of the environmental. What is it? As part of the environmental concerns, they didn't make food an issue. I know a little bit about a lot of things. I say the occasional science thing. And for those of you wondering what Kasem sounds out, he said science, fuck yeah. So, but yes, when you heat something and you start exciting those molecules to make more room, and you'll find that it will hold more sugar, and that's how you make like a simple syrup for making sodas. Yes, made my bot mad. How dare you? How dare you, huh? But this is we're not putting the some of this stuff in until after it has simmered down because we don't want it to boil off, right? I'm going to start putting a little of this away that I don't need right this moment. You got to do something. Got to get your jolly somewhere. I can respect that. I can totally respect that. Put all this over here. One of the concerns I would have with doing some more of the cooking stuff is some of them do, um, you know, I could send it to you. I don't know if it would survive the trip. They take a long time, and so it'd be us kind of sitting here staring at each other and going, "We're waiting for it to cook. How exciting!" Like, for example, like pizza was one of the requested things to do, and I would love to do pizza. However, to make pizza dough from scratch, which I would totally love to do, and I've done that before, and I make really good pizza most of the time, is it's a time consuming thing because it's a bread with yeast, and you have to come and let it do its thing and rise and punch it down, and that takes a long time. So what we could do is wait to the last beat down and then finish that, because once you put the toppings on, it's straight into the oven and it's like 15 minutes of pizza. Uh, A moist brick. Yeah, it probably would not travel so well. Um, so I would need to try and balance cooking to talking ratio because yeah, I could do the pizza dough in the morning and have it ready to do the beat down at whatever time the thing starts. But from then to the end it'd be kind of like this one. This is going to be a shortest stream. This one's actually taking longer because I'm expecting the boiling is taking forever. Um, because actually, once you spread it out, and once you have it on the pan, it's 20 minutes to done. Hey, we try to have fun. That's if you're here for my food. It can be hit or miss. See, the first time I made the Nuka Cola, it turned out good. The second time was foul, and now here we are. Sweet pizza flavors. What kind of pizza flavors does Brazil have? Because I think they were saying like somewhere in Scandinavia, there's a thing with bananas. And please tell me that you don't put bananas on pizza because that's disgusting. Just, I mean, I've had like, Pizza Hut used to make a dessert pizza that was essentially a cinnamon thing, but bananas on pizza or kiwi, it just does not sound nice. Yeah, I try. I try. Keep it interesting. Um, don't judge my plastic. This is the brown sauce I made earlier. This is gonna be what gives it the color, and it's just liquefied brown sugar and water. it's choc Is it like Nutella on pizza, or is it something like a pizza with chocolate on it? Because that could go either way. Because I'm 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 suddenly very afraid. I don't recall having chocolate pizza. It was where we lived. Ooh, in Arnstadt. We lived down the street from this place that did Donner, and they made these amazing pizzas as well. But they would make this thing that was tortellini and Donner meat and just all this cheese, and they'd put it and just throw it in the oven. It's like your whole, container and throw it in the oven. And that shit was to die for. And now I want some because it was so good. And then we moved to a different place, and then we lived above a Donner place. And so there was always people coming and going with the smell of Donner. I'm like, now I'm really hungry. Um, because nothing personal to the Brits, but y'all can't cook. Because that stuff's nasty. English food just isn't the same. Just isn't, I don't know. German food is something, Germans don't do like spices. Like I grew up where, people liked spicy food and that was supposed to be a thing. But hold on, I can't turn off my timer here. But I I don't like heat for its own sake. I don't mind flavor, but I'm not keen on melting my face off. But Germans like tart, use vinegar, and not overly sweet things. Because growing up in the States, everything's with high fructose corn syrup. And my parents, I don't put salt and pepper in my food when I'm cooking because my dad would coat it with salt and pepper. And depending on how much moisture was in whatever it was you're cooking, then the crackers would just get crumbled up and go to the top. So I'm like, why would I bother trying to make something taste nice? Because you ain't gonna taste it. And my mom, every time she tried to quit smoking, she'd just be like, salt. But yeah, hearty food. I like there's like schnitzel. You know, there's something just nice about schnitzel. It's comforting. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to Nuka Cola. So we're gonna remove from heat I'm reaching the age where I need reading glasses, but I'm not going to do it. I'm straight into a container. Then we're going to add the orange, lime, and lemon juice. Okay. Move this out of my way. We have removed from heat. I'm going to strain into this to start because I feel safer that way. Actually, I'm safer over here by the sink, just in case, right? Very carefully. Whoops. Turn it off. And there goes all of the solid bits that we don't want in our syrup later. The cinnamon and star anise and all that, so it doesn't go into your soda proper. I'm going to give that a second to cool before I put it in my glass. So this is the base syrup before we put in the orange juice or the citrus juice and the colorant. There's also traditional dessert. I know. See, I fixed that one. I think it's the choice of swear words. You had Putin is turkey, right? With fried potato. I love fried potatoes. Yeah, that bot was taking no prisoners. It was absolutely taking no prisoners. Okay, I'm afraid to pour that in that glass just yet, so we're gonna give that a second to cool off. But it's kind of thickish, and that is really boiling hot. So I think we have the bot fixed, so that's always a good thing. And let's see if I can put some of these away. Oh God, I hate. Oh Jesus, nope. I'm gonna need the chair. I hate being short. I have to get. I can't reach stuff on my own counter. I feel like I'm 9. Not nice. Hmm. Okay. And then once we get all of this into this container, so we're going to put this, the citrus juice and the browning stuff, and a little bit of vanilla on top. We don't put the vanilla into the last because when it cooled off, we don't want it to evaporate off the alcohol in it. Not that it adds a lot of, it's not really adding any alcohol, but we don't want it to evaporate the vanilla off with the alcohol because, that's kind of the point to have the vanilla in it. Some of these days I'm gonna learn how to make it from scratch. I love vanilla. Ooh, it smells good. It tastes like butt when it's raw like this, but it smells good. What do we got going on here? Ah, hello. We got peoples. Welcome, peoples. We like it when peoples come in. Hopefully people stay. Peoples come back. Yay! I'm trying to think, do I have another container that I could pour that into? I don't have another pitcher that's not glass. Hello. How are you today? Waiting on this to cool off so I can finish the last steps. But I'd gotten these because my fridge is really small, and so I could, they could fit without taking up a lot of space. A traditional American jug is big, or just a pitcher in general is kind of large for what little space I have. I've got a very English size refrigerator. Americans are like, that's a dorm. It's a dorm size refrigerator with a little extra, but not by much. And yeah, you can't put shit in it. Mm. I'm wondering. We're gonna try a little science here. I'm gonna try a little science here. Speaking of science, I bet Vianney's out looking, googling how to make extra sugar water just to make sure I didn't get it wrong. But yes, simple syrup is made that way. We put cold water in, and we're gonna see how fast if it helps it cool off a little faster. Once all this is done, we'll pop it in the fridge. It'll take some hours for it to finally kind of settle. No, I think it's something interested you and you wanted to know more about it. I'm gonna give us both of that out. And I think learning about how stuff works is interesting myself. So if someone told me that, I went and found out more. That's how we learn stuff. Is someone says a thing and you go, oh, and then 3 hours later you're still on Wikipedia. 10 topics later, and the sun has gone down and come back up again. So it's kind of how it goes. Yeah. I used to have students always ask me, Miss, how do you know that? And I'm like, there's this thing called books, and I grew up reading them. I had my older brother had an encyclopedia set. Kind of, yeah. But he had an encyclopedia set. It was from 78, back when people had encyclopedia sets at home. And I remember it was 78 because Elvis died in 77. And we had all these, the big black bound encyclopedias. And you get bored, and, 3 channels on TV, read the encyclopedia. Or maybe I'm just a dork. I don't know. But, you kind of flip through it and you find something interesting, or you find, you look up a thing in the dictionary and then you find 5 more words that are interesting. And so you find stuff out. I mean, a lot of the stuff I learned in this encyclopedias is outdated now. A lot of the science stuff has been added to, and history has been clarified and that kind of thing. But just basic interest in knowing how stuff works. And then there was that cool ass show on Discovery called How Stuff Works. Mr. Rogers uh, did stuff with how stuff works, where he would. I remember there was a crayon factory and the pencil factory, and they went onto the set of the Incredible Hulk. Just going to how stuff works, and there was that show that ran forever on Discovery, where it was essentially how to make stuff and how things worked. 3 channels. We had ABC, CBS, and NBC. So those are the 3 networks. There in our area, we did have PBS, which was a UHF channel, and but yeah, that was it. And I remember when we got our first cable box, and it sat on top of the TV and had buttons you had to push. There was no remote. Well, we were the remote. Get up and push channel. And some of the channels were empty, but there was HBO was one of the first movie channels we had. I think we had the movie channel eventually, but not Showtime or Cinemax. Those were way later. But I remember when MTV turned on, and I remember my mom, my older brother, and I standing in the living room, and we were just watching Video Killed the Radio Star, and we were like, "What is this?" Yes, the channels were turned off at midnight. There was no until you got cable. And then there was the channel out of Atlanta that if you from that time, you probably remember that one. And then there was one out of Chicago, and those were the 2 big national channels that we got, because the one in Chicago had the Bozo show in the mornings before school, and then the one out of Atlanta, I think, was Turner Broadcasting, and it was all the westerns. My dad was a big western guy. All of the John Wayne movies and all of the Clint Eastwood movies. High Plains Drifter scarred me. Okay, that's High Plains Drifter scarred me. But it was on a lot. I remember uh, Saturday night, or Friday night, Saturday night, there was wrestling, and then after wrestling was Black Sheep Squadron, and then it was Rat Patrol. So that was the start of my history fixation, because when I found out that Pappy Boyington was a real person, I was like, that is so cool. That cooling off? That is still blistering hot. And in our lifetimes, we went from TV and radio and this magic we see sometimes hundreds of kilometers. Yeah, it's one of the first channels that we had was the USA Network. I don't know why they called it that. They had a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons on Saturday, but Sunday was Kung Fu Sunday, and it was pretty much wall to wall, back to back, nothing but these wushu movies that I'm pretty sure no one in the U.S. had ever seen before, and it was it was a learning experience, and just hours of these wire work movies with these Chinese demons and things, and it was a thing. And then Sunday afternoons there was Battlestar Galactica. Remember that? God, I feel old. That feels like age, with Dirk Benedict and those guys way back when. God, it was the 80s. It was the early 80s. My brother was still home at that time before he left, I think. Let's say it was. Mm. But yeah, TV has changed. But I remember when MTV started and it was Video Killed the Radio Star, and then there was Abracadabra, and there was a whole lot of Men at Work. And God, there was so much Men at Work. It feels like a lifetime ago. Do they even play music anymore? I haven't even looked at MTV in ages. I graduated from secondary school in '91. I think the nostalgia. To be fair, because that's an easy way to segue into the world of Fallout. The nostalgia for the '50s. That perfect nuclear family. Puns. It's okay. Okay, is that going to braille my hands off? All right, someone with Google, really quickly, tell me if I pour this liquid into glass, is it gonna? It shouldn't shatter my glass, but I'm still nervous. Hold on, how long is this? If I pour, it is still quite warm. It is 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, can I switch it to Celsius? Okay, that is really warm. 80 degrees Celsius. If I pour it into glass, will it cause my glass to break? Someone with Google, is it safe to put in the glass? Or do I need to let it cool off a little more? Now you're just making sense. Empty the water out of the bowl the jug is in, dry it out, pour the mixture into the bowl. Should cook quicker with a larger surface area. But then I have to pour it back into, how do I get it into this without making a mess? Like if you talk about Star Galactica, I've not seen the new one. I have not seen the new Battlestar Galactica. I was mad at the time because I was like, "Where's Dirk Benedict?" And I've not seen it. I know. Bring on the nerd shame. I know. Okay. All right. Let's try this. That is still really, really hot. You can see the steam coming off of it. But yes, there was another science lesson, greater surface area. Came out in 2004. Where was I in 2004? I was very, very busy in university at that time. Oh god, I was super busy at that time. Um, I just started university. I was in my 2nd year, and, my youngest was about 1. I was working 3 jobs. I was still on the dean's list. I was busting my ass. I don't wanna water it down is the thing because this is supposed to be a concentrate. Yeah. Well, I was working 3 part-time jobs, but I was also going to university full-time, and the way, um, American university works, I don't it doesn't work that way here, and I don't know how it works in Germany, but in the the sink is, like, this big, and there's stuff in it. But American university, you go if you're taking a full load, typically that means you're taking 12 hours a semester, and what that means, you're in a classroom for 12 hours a semester plus homework. So if I'm taking 12 to 15 hours any semester, that's 12 to 15 hours I'm physically in the classroom plus the homework. And then I was working 3 part-time jobs. So it was a lot of running. Yeah, unfortunately, my sink is full of stuff. But yeah, the American dream, go to university, be in lots and lots of debt. And uh, yeah, a lot of debt. Unfortunately, I'd have to go wash my dishes and then y'all would have to listen to it. Semesters. So typically, the university I went to, fall semester was September to December, and then spring was January to May, and then summer was June, July, August. Um, there were 16 weeks in a full semester, 8 weeks in the summer semester. We had intercessions, so that'd be like spring break, that would be a 2 weeks things. But the problem with those is, so regardless of the class that you took, it was made for 16 weeks. You could take an intercession class that would cram those 16 weeks into 2. And that means you aren't in class the 3 hours a week. You're in class like 5 hours a day for those 2 weeks. And I did my degree at my university required that we had to have a higher math class. There were 2 options. There was some kind of statistics class we could take, or we could take college level algebra. And I finished my algebra in high school before I got to high school. I finished my all of my math credits for high school graduation in the ninth grade. I used to be smart. I had it all done. Time passed. I went to college algebra, and they were like, "No, so you got to take this class." And the first time I tried it, it was too much versus a whole bunch of other stuff, and I did not do well. So there was apparently a class uh, taught by a teacher who was famous at the university for teaching math for people with math phobia or who get easily overwhelmed by the idea of all of this stuff, because we're not math majors, but we had to have this math class. And what she would do is we would have like 4 hours of lecture. So we're sitting in a classroom with her and a co-teacher teaching this algebra stuff, and you're glazing over. And then she had this online program. We would all go to the lab, and so the program was set. You could use a calculator, you could use whatever. If you didn't know how to use the calculator or understand the problem, the calculator's not going to help you. So we could use whatever we wanted as help. If you every problem you could have 3 attempts at, and she would if you did it right the first time, you could just move to the next problem. That way you were getting practice with the problem. And there was also a couple of math tutors there, so you could finish. And if you pass through or not, you could there was no like, here's this grindy homework for you to do whether you need it or not. It's only if you needed the extra work. And I managed to pass that way, but I took an intercession class for that because she was the only one that offered it at that time. So I don't recommend intercession classes for classes you don't like or struggle with because they were hell. Physics isn't good enough to explain why water is better conductor of heat than air. Water molecules are closer together than air. So there you go. Now he's on the science bench. I created the monster. That is still very warm. Let's see if it's cooling off any. So it was 70. We're down to 62. At what temperature will it be safe for me to pour all this in a glass container? Another science tidbit: glass is not a solid, not technically. It's considered an amorphous solid, but it's actually just a liquid. And depending on the glass, you have to get glass extremely cold, like we're talking like kelvins, to turn it into a full-on solid. And it depends on what impurities are in the glass to get to reach that temperature. So we're down to 60. Give it a few more minutes. I remember seeing a thing about glass years ago. It was an old piece of glass from somewhere in Europe, and it had been there long enough that the top of the glass was very thin relatively, and the bottom of the glass had gotten wider where it had kind of oozed over time. The concept of this low amount of lessons, everybody joking about students getting up at noon. I when I was teaching university, I had the joy of teaching freshman comp at 9 a.m. And I had to drive from where I was to the main campus, which was a 90-minute drive one way on Oklahoma Turnpike Road. If you know it, you've been on it, you know what I'm talking about. It's the shittiest road in the Midwest. And I had to be there at 9 o'clock. And I had students, they lived in the dorms. This is where they live. And all I had to do was walk across the quad. And they would come in late. And I'm like, if I can get up here and drive, you can trot your ass over here and not fall the fuck asleep because I will fucking fail you. Fuck. It was some church windows. It was some church windows. It wasn't stained glass because that tends to be leaded, but it was dodge all the politics. It was thinner at the top and it was really kind of thick, chunky glass. Yeah, but see, I had to pay rent, and in the States, I have to pay tuition. And for my degree, a basic bachelor's degree in the US is 4 years. Typically, the first 2 years is all your gen ed requirements that everybody has to take. And the second 2 years focuses on your major, and mine was secondary education. And part of that required 3 internships that we weren't paid for. The first was 2 weeks, the second was 8 weeks, and then the last was 16 weeks. So I'm teaching a full semester. So, and that's from 7:30 to 4 o'clock every day. I had to pay tuition for that class, plus still take 3 other classes on the side while I'm working essentially full time for free. You still got to eat, there's I worked at the University Writing Center for 4 years. I worked at a kennel for a year. I worked for 2 different law offices. Uh, so I mean, you do what you can in between classes, and know where all the food banks are because that's. I found out I can't donate. I can't sell plasma. I don't have enough. Yay, American University. I would have loved to have gone to the university in Germany, though, but I was worried about the language being a barrier, and you still have to pay for housing. But the American student loans and Pell Grants would cover that. But life is what it is. Okay, one more time. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to skip that for now because this is dragging on. So we're going to add the orange juice. I'm just going to pour it on here. In worst case, I can leave this sit on the counter and till it cools off a little bit and pop the whole thing in the fridge with the lid on it. And I can put it into the glass jars later when it's cooler. Add the orange lemon. Add the browning sauce. Again, do not use the stuff for meat, otherwise you're going to end up with some funky taste, right? That does have kind of a burned sugary smell. Yeah, there's not the same demand for it outside the States. It's to feed homeless people and college students. And then the vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon vanilla. I had the teaspoon right here somewhere. Where did I put it? 1 teaspoon. Yeah, if you're donating full-on blood, you don't get paid for that. But selling plasma, you can do more frequently. You can do it 2 or 3 times a month. I love vanilla too. Yeah. Like a good vanilla ice cream that's just like real vanilla and just all the cream. Oh, it's the bomb. Okay. So this is going to end up sitting on the counter for a bit. We're going to stir this up a smidge. This is your concentrate. Okay. And I think I'm going to have to run it through the filter one more time because it's got a little bit of zest in there still. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is your cola concentrate. Once it's cooled completely, about 10, 12 hours, it also lets all of the flavors kind of set. And I've heard someone describe it as have the flavors marry, kind of have everything do its thing. Then, wow, that does have a lot of stuff in it. Some pulp. It'll be 1 cup of water, carbonated, right? You can use seltzer water, you can use Sprudelwasser, you could use tonic as long as there's nothing in it, no quinine, none of that stuff, because it's gonna make the flavor funky. And then 5 to 7 tablespoons of this syrup, ice if you want it. It smells like citrusy soda. But what's the name of the orangey soda in Germany? It doesn't taste like that. I forget what that stuff's called, but there's an orangey soda. I think it begins with an M. I can't. It's nasty. It's gross. This is not that. So I think we're good to a good stopping point. That took a lot longer than I expected because the cooling process. Oh my lord! No, it's not Fanta. It's not Fanta. There was. It's a brown cola. Could have swore it began with an M. Because Fanta is just straight orange soda. No, it was brown, but it had like an orangey flavor to it, to a cola, like a. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. Can't stand it. I tried it. I was like, oh. Like black licorice. Okay, maybe I'm not as German as I thought because black licorice is disgusting, and cork. Cork is also disgusting. Cork is like if yogurt and sour cream had ugly babies. that's not nice. It's not nice. Don't like it. I like Greek yogurt straight up. You can have my passport when you take it from my cold dead fingers. Greek yogurt, plain or with honey is really good, but something about quark, I just didn't I just couldn't get into it. 0 of anything soda-wise is disgusting. Let's just be real. You're gonna get gross. It's gross. I had gestational diabetes, with my youngest, and so, I had to cut my carbs considerably. And I remember at the time the dietitian was like, you can try some diet sodas. And at the time, Diet Dr. Pepper had just come out. I love Dr. Pepper, and it said tastes more like Dr. Pepper, and I'm like, then what? Mud? Because it did not taste like Dr. Pepper. It was disgusting. It was so gross. Greek yogurt is good. Greek yogurt is real good. No, it's not yogurt. But it's in that family of thicker dairy stuff, somewhere between like yogurt and sour cream. And when I went to the Middle East, I couldn't find um, Dr. Pepper anywhere until there's a I forget the name of the grocery store, but they had we called it the naughty room, and where you could get bacon and Pop Tarts, and sometimes they had Dr. Pepper there too. What is a lie? Yogurt's good. It's good for you. And maybe okay, I will concede on cork that I may have had a bad few initial experiences. Maybe it was offered to me in less than an ideal way. Could that? I will concede that. But yeah, my limited experience with cork was it's disgusting. Like, the cork is not nice. Yeah, that's true of a lot of things. It's true of a lot of things. Anywho, I don't think this is going to get cooled off completely before everybody gets tired of me. Um, I can tomorrow in my Discord and on is it X now or Twitter or whatever the fuck it is, uh, post some pictures of what the final product looks like. Greek yogurt is delicious. It's absolutely delicious. It can be very tart though, but I like the fact that it's thick, and I like if you mix something into it, it doesn't immediately turn runny. Yogurt with honey is amazing. It's delicious. The higher the fattiness can be good, especially for baking. And that's the when I grew up, I hated cream cheese. My little brother used to eat it like by the block, and I'm like, that is disgusting stuff. But as I've gotten older, I still don't eat it like chunks, but like no bake cheesecake. Cheesecake. So yes, I will share pictures tomorrow when this is cooled off. Yeah, cream cheese would come in like I'm not gonna show you how the glass parts. Like a block of butter. It would come wrapped up in like a block of cream cheese. I know the Germans are like, the wheels are spinning. It does not compute. Funny how food brings us together in weird ways, right? But no, I'm not going to show you birth class. I don't have to clean that mess up. I will show you pictures of this, guys, tomorrow. I do appreciate everyone who has stuck it out for the last hour waiting for this to cool. Um, in my Discord, if anybody has ideas of what they'd like to see next, the definitive one in May, because I was gifted the Dune game to start on May 15th, so I'm excited about that. So it'll be a day or two before that because I want to be focused on gaming that day. Um, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that mixed into a cake. It'll give it a nice texture. I've seen people do it with Greek yogurt too. But so we need more ideas for what we're going to cook next. And when we have pizza as an idea, we have the beefy noodles, we have the Tuscan chicken, and we need some nerd stuff to throw in to fix my doorbell to keep this thing going. And I'm liking making the nerd food. Nerd food is fun. I need a Dune cookbook. I've never cooked Middle Eastern food from scratch. I'm almost kind of afraid that I would be people would be knocking on my door going, "How dare you?" Candy? That could be interesting. I haven't made candy in decades. Um, could be nerdy, movie inspired. I've seen all kinds of crazy cookbooks from all kinds of video games on my this is a shameless plug on my wish list that I've got up for. It's on my YouTube. There's in the bio. There's a wish list up for Amazon that has a variety of cookbooks in it that are generic nerdy cookbooks. There's also a supernatural one. Of course, it's going to have pie and some burgers in it. Um, but stuff like that. Anything. I'm down to learn how to make some nerdy food down the road because nerd, right? This is a good point to wrap up. This is really hot behind me. I can feel the heat coming off that. It's still very warm. Why is that so warm still? Oh, that's very sticky. It's down to 44. Making progress. If you like, if you, Pedro, or Palo, God, da, 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 Paulo. Um, coriander. Coriander is fine. Are you talking about cilantro? Cilantro is disgusting. Cilantro is absolutely disgusting. And I'm not a fan of rocket either. They taste not so great. But the nice thing about those is you can cut them back or replace with red leaf and things like that. So coriander is fine. Coriander is in this too, but no cilantro. The seeds, yeah, cilantro is the green stuff. I forget how they're related. There's some food magic that someone could probably explain better than me. But yeah, you're right. They are. Well, hello there. You just caught us as we're getting ready to wrap up. Yeah, the leaves are gross. Cilantro leaves are disgusting. But yeah, I will post pictures mañana, am morgen, and how many other languages do we have here going? I lose track. For what this is like, how it turned out. It smells amazing. And then if people are around either in the Din Discord or my Discord or just want to drop me a line on the comments anywhere of things that sound good, we can certainly look at that. So guess we're at the end. That was a lot of fun. I'm sweating. Uh, I will catch everybody later then, and I'm so grateful for everybody to stop by. Thanks for the gift subs, Vinay. That was very kind of you. Thanks for the gifts for the stuff that made this stuff happen and made the is going to make the cookies happen that are coming up for the Dune Awakening premiere. Because we're going to have those Moadib cookies, and I'm super grateful. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm the same way. I was watching someone the other day and I looked away and I'm like, why is it gone? Oh, oops. So we will catch everybody later. Thanks so much for stopping in and well, bye bye.